Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day and wonderful weekend. Am I seeing a green weekend here for a change? This is really a nice start here. I don't want you to get your hopes up though, folks, and I'm not going to be telling you what you want to hear. I'm just going to literally tell you what I see on the charts and just make sure you understand it's best not to get euphoric in situations like this. However, the technical analysis is working out quite favorably. It's working the way that it should, where we see this nice little bullish backtest, the previous high working as a new low, that 82.5 to 83.5 range. So generally speaking, that should be a new support level for us. But we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I think that this weekend continuation should discontinue in the relative near future, probably sometime later tonight, sometime tomorrow, possibly, maybe even Monday. It's hard to say specifically, but what we want to look at is overextensions and key level resistances, and just generally congratulate some awesome trades here from our community. Solana hit all targets there, about 63%, Bitcoin 42%, and AVAX so far only about 29%. But I do think that will hit its next mark here shortly. I think our next target's in the 21 range. Anyways, the whole point of me mentioning that is that we got to celebrate what we can. We're more long biased in our community. Even though I have been talking majority of the week about shorting at roughly 85,000 for Bitcoin, the 84 to 85K range, and then same thing with Solana, the 125 to 130 range. Both those situations are present right now. We're right at the top edge of that. Do we short because of that previous analysis, or do we take another look here now and understand if it's worthwhile waiting maybe a little bit longer? We're going to double check and see if that's viable. So quickly to note here, kind of easy to identify, about 86 to 87,000 is that last area of liquidation. So just keep in mind the local area of liquidation, pretty much anybody shorting in the relative recent past, we can see upwards of 87,000 is that shelf. There's a bit of a gap there, and then of course 90,000 or higher is that next area, that next tier. So for the most part, based on liquidation, we're halfway to our target of 86 to 87,000 as far as that's concerned. Now we're at 15 billion in liquidation delta. Typically when you see 15 billion, the price starts to taper off. You saw this here previously as well. Granted, that was a bit of a fundamental catalyst for the price action pulling back based on more tariffs. But for the most part here, you usually don't see it go too much higher than 15 billion unless it's like a momentous trend. Like when we went from 70 to 90,000 a few months ago, last year, essentially, we had the price action hitting about 30 billion in liquidation delta. So that basically just tells us that it's still possible to go much higher, but for the most part, we're kind of tentatively peaking here. And I think that, unless this volume continues to start, to push throughout the entire weekend and Monday again, then we're going to see, the likelihood of a turnaround, I think, is quite high if we don't get extra volume. We're going to look at volume too. Either way, open interest 82.6, that's that local low here. If you're going to consider a short, I would recommend taking profit between now and then. That's roughly the consideration there, because open interest is generally going to be a favorable area for support, at least if it's below the price, which we can see there. And obviously 80,000 was that other area too there. So let's take a quick look at the daily time frame, kind of go from here. This is an important thing to recognize, and I think a lot of folks are probably pretty euphoric based on this here, because we are officially breaking our descending trend line if you look at the 20-day SMA. Now let me pull up a better chart here. It's a little easier to kind of see. But generally speaking here, if you look at these moving averages, you can see the 50-day SMA is getting tested right now. So generally speaking, it's typically best practice to wait for the 50-day SMA to be fully broken before you consider taking longs in that direction, or you essentially understand that, hey, we've shifted momentum. So I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're close. We're kind of tentatively there, but it's hard to trust this on a weekend. Me personally, I don't trust it. We've had 13 out of 14 red weekends this year, and while this trend reversal or shift in momentum here can definitely signify the likelihood of a green weekend, and that's still pretty solid consideration too right now. When you look at the price action for everything, we're looking pretty good. There's little reason why the price would just come tumbling down. Okay. So hypothetically, shorting right now at this point is tentatively a bad idea. However, we take a look at the RSI on the daily time frame. This is the first time, and this is still very tentative, it's just a kind of an early break. This is the first time we've seen since February 2nd the RSI be over 50 if you exclude the March 24th kind of debacle there. That was a really bad tariff day. So All that being said, we're shifting momentum. We're not quite there yet, but we're looking pretty solid. MACD convergence, the whole thing. We're seeing a lot of reasons why a continuation is likely. Okay, that's just what the charts are telling us. Now, as far as the 4-hour time frame, this is going to be fairly bullish. It was yesterday. I don't see that having changed at all. We're running concurrent with this trend line with a 20-day SMA over the 50. We're now over the 200-day SMA right there at about 83,000. So no matter how you look at it, if you're considering a short position, it's technically more risky than a long, right? Even though yesterday when I was mentioning, you're more likely to find success shorting over the weekend because of the historical data. The truth is we have a lot of convergence and a lot of reasons why the price should continue higher. So easy way to understand it right now is based on this momentous trend, the overall sentiment from a technical standpoint, you are more likely to find success taking a long than a short. But it's hard to warrant a long position at 85,000 because that is there's a lot of confluence there of that being a previous resistance, and I just think we shouldn't get too ahead of ourselves just yet. But if we take a look at our point of control here, we kind of zoom out ever since late February, early March, there's a lot of volume in this $83,000 range. So having been above that for quite a few hours, there's a decent chance that's the new low. So 83,000 could be the new low. Hypothetically, what this should look like is a price to pull back down, bounce off 83K, and essentially continue higher. So if you're going to consider a short position, just make it tight. Make sure that your targets are not super ridiculously low. You don't want to be shorting to the 70K range. You want to keep it tight, but for the most part, it's just inherently a little more risky. The only reason why I would consider a short, and I'm still leaning towards that idea, is if we start to creep up and continue to finish this liquidation range here, because once more, about 86,000 is that heavier concentration just above the price. So if we see 86,000, I think that's definitely a good consideration for a short. Right now, average into a short position if you're going to consider one. But once more, only reason I'd consider a short position is based on just weekend manipulation and how consistent that has been. But from a technical standpoint, everything points up. There's really there's not a lot here telling us that we're going to see the price pull back. That's not it. But if you do look here, minus the one candle wick here we saw in the last 4 hours, for the most part, volume is still fairly low, and it was pretty low yesterday too. So those are all just unique things you don't typically see on a weekend. So I don't trust it, folks. I don't think you should either. But once more, I hope I'm wrong and the price keeps going up. That's totally where I'm at right now. So it's a weird thing to want to try to bet against this. But I hope you learned something today. Either way, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate the feedback too yesterday. I've been increasing the amount of shorts that I've been sending, and people are liking that. So please continue just to hit the like button on every video or whatever you see from me. Appreciate that. And keep supporting the channel. Keep some good content coming your way. Join us over on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you haven't yet already. It's all available there for you. And we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have a good one. Thanks again for your time. Take care.